I believe years back, you joined us in Senchi, and this thing started quite a while ago. You can talk about the frequency or the speed in which we were doing it. Anything that is moving in the positive direction has to be able to control the country's purse, should be encouraged. To weed out any leakages or any corruption and all those things should be encouraged. Look, human nature needs to be policed. Self-regulation and all that has not proven to work. Otherwise, you and I are civil people. We can live in this country and not cause anyone a problem, but we still need the police, just in case you or I misbehave. So we need to continue on that path. But you see, timing is everything. When you are running an economy, timing of when you do things is everything. If contractors have worked, they have dependent people who work for them. The workers have people who depend on them, and they have not been paid. Then basically you look along the whole chain, and you realize that there is no money in the system. And
but you had this problem when you were Deputy Finance Minister as well. How did you resolve it?
Well, that's what I'm saying, that contractors needs to be paid. The problem then becomes sometimes whether you are paying foreign contractors or paying local contractors. Local contractors put money back in the economy in terms of their dependent and spending in the system. Foreign contractors have taken money elsewhere that they need to take the money out of the system. You realize that even when you pay foreign contractors, you get the problem of the currency. Basically, the city depreciating because once people have cities in the system and they need to mop up dollars to take elsewhere, you're always going to have, that's why we have the telecos and all that, having that problem. So the balance as to who gets paid and when is really critical. So I pray and hope that they are going to pay this 80% so that this liquidity issue we are talking about, people can go and pay their banks so that the banks don't get collapsed, so that the banks will do their business, so that individuals can have the money to be able to pay their companies, can pay their workers, they can look after their wives and children, and money will go around. Money is like a blood in the economy. If it doesn't go around, Kojo, you are dead. That's what it is, basically.
Does that make it even more serious that over the past couple of days we're seeing what can only be described as evidence of a lack of interest in debating the budget by members of parliament?
It is obvious, and it's unfortunate. When I thought that the finance minister will probably live to regret this. You've got to be careful of choice of words. You don't rub things in people's faces. You don't tell people you've put money in their pocket when their pockets are empty. When you have laid people off as a result of banks collapse, people have lost their jobs and there's Christmas coming and they don't know what they are going to be doing with their family. When companies have collapsed as a result of the bad economy that we live in at the moment, and you claim that you put money in their pocket, what people are interested in, what jobs have you created? You say you do 1D, 1F. How many 1D, 1Fs have you created? Not how many pineapple juice you bring to Parliament to show us. But where are the actual jobs? The information minister, who has the power to be able to tell us what is going on, just comes and display a pineapple juice that is coming to a store near you. What people are interested in is which job is coming to the area near me, that I'm going to be able to work and earn a real wage, real job for real wage. When is NAPCO going to turn into proper job and not a stopgap? These are the things we need to be thinking of as a country, and not just say that, excuse my language, but in the world of blind people, one eye is the king.
But that is the nature.
And in that case, in the absence of nothing, NAPCO is a welfare system. You've been in the UK. It's basically a welfare system that we are creating. And if you're not careful, you go down the road, you'll be creating a welfare society. Only a few people have actually got a real job they are doing. I think the GRAs and all that. The rest just show up to a place that they have been asked to go to and collect money at the end of the day. Welfare system is not a bad thing, but you need to be able to finance it, and you need to have a plan on how that is going to translate into job. If you are getting a job seekers allowance in the UK or somewhere, they put you in a room every week that you are going to sign up for your money. to tell them what you have done to look for a job.
Yeah.
They have centers where you can go to computers and put your CV together and get guidance. So some kind of a process need to be taking place if you are in a transition state. Now, not just be boasting and say you've put money in people's pocket, but you don't tell them how much you've taken out of their pocket. I think my honorable brother Atu was coming up with some figures as to how much they've taken out of our pocket. You see, so you can't take with one
like
hand.
15 billion or something like
Yes,
that.
I think the figure I had was 19, unless it's
19 billion.
It's gone up since then. And the government is saying they put 12.2 billion in our pocket. So the question becomes, you are taking 19 billion from my pocket and putting 12.2. So you are not robbing Peter to pay Paul this time. You are robbing Peter to pay Peter.
Now, you talk about the fact that these are social interventions.
Yeah.
That's the word I was struggling for earlier. Is it not a bit of a surprise to hear a socialist party criticizing social interventions? That is the center of your ideology, is it not?
I'm not criticizing it. If you listen to me, I have consistently been talking about planning and execution. This is where the problem is with this government. They do the talk, but they can't walk the walk. You see, it is how you do things. I mean, countries are implementing social intervention and they are doing okay, though it costs them a lot of money. And I can agree with you that, you know, even though ideologically we have, if you NDC as a social democrat, you will say it's more an interventionist type of party. But the opposite side too have realized that these social interventions is actually the things that win you an election.
Yet
because
all they attract is criticism from the opposition.
No, it's not the criticism. You know, when you are doing something that is not your natural home, you are not going to do it well. So we are just pointing it. If you want to do this, even whether we have done it or we haven't done it, that is our natural home. We have some ideas to share with you on how we look. You cannot be somebody who thinks something, but you want to do something different. You need to know how it is done. Most of the things, free education is a fantastic thing. I have always held the belief that this country is endowed with a lot of natural resources and all the minerals that we have. How can the man on the street or the woman on the street say that the oil that comes in the western region in the sea benefits me directly? Yes, you can say it goes through the taxes. You can give them a long journey on how the money reaches them. But when you take free education, you can simply say that that is the money that pays your children school fees. We don't have any qualms about that. We just thought that it should be done progressively when you have the infrastructure to be able to house the children, give them a proper education in a comfortable environment, but not done haphazardly where you are giving people free education, they don't have a place to sleep, or the population is too much that you have to be running all sorts of shifts. Kids go home and get into all sorts of things and get pregnant, and the education, you know, messes up and all that. This is what we are talking about. So in the end, a good social policy can be a bad one if it is not planned and implemented properly. And I think that is where we are coming from.
Speaking of social interventions, Kaya Hostel, good idea?
It's definitely any housing for the less privileged in society. It's a fantastic idea. Now, they say the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating. Let's just hope that it is not 1D, 1F, that every year they have to come and justify how many proposals have passed bankable stage and all that. Yet you don't see anything. But you do see pineapple on parliament floor where they tell you it's coming to a shop near you. Where it's coming from, you have no idea. I'm not challenging that. It's not coming from a 1FDF or 1D1F place. But let's provide the jobs. Let's have social interventions that can be funded. Because one of the biggest problems in this country is being with subsidies. That in the end, everything can be subsidized. But the money has to come from somewhere. So even if you're a socialist or a social democrat, you will have to have the numbers to back what you are doing. And sometimes the numbers it's become a bit problematic. I mean, just one example, I was looking into the budget, looking at, okay, how much money is available for capital expenditure? And in the budget, we have like 9.2 billion capital expenditure. Now, as you know, in a capital expenditure, the financing is actually broken into two. We have the foreign finance capital expenditure, which is basically projects that comes with money in terms of loans, like how Commander Sugar Factory was built, 35 million project, so you draw down. It's an Indian exim facility, that sort of thing. And then you have the domestic one, which is basically ones that we have to find money for, usually comes from ADF, because you know, in the oil money, we split it into three, one to the consolidated, which is the ABF, and then the heritage and others. With the 9.2 billion, it's split as 3.7 in domestic funding, which is what we have to use money for, and 5.5 as in foreign finance, which is what comes with loans. So what we need to finance in this capital expenditure is actually 3.7. 3 billion of that money, according to this budget, is coming from the ABFA, which means that they are only left with 700 million to finance. Yet they are going for an euro bond, which they put at 17 billion. If you're going to get a 17 billion euro bond, which is about $3 billion US, you can do a lot with that money. And if you say you are going to use that to finance capital expenditure, yet you have only 700 million, then what are you going to do with the 16 billion that is left over? So I hope that they will have to come to Parliament to give us a breakdown on what that money will be used for when they eventually go for the Eurobond. So I would be interested to see the kind of allocation they do for the money, so that we know that the money is actually going to it, because there's a lot of infrastructure to be done. And to be honest with you, the 9.2 billion is actually not enough. So if they can increase the spending and say that we are going to use this money to do that, maybe that's what they will pick. Another thing, if I'm to advise Kenoforiata, maybe he can pay some of his roads money from that Eurobond if they get the 3 billion.
Oh, there's an idea.